Okay, Faiza has also joined. Other students will also join soon. Let us wait for 1-2 minutes more. What we did in last class, meanwhile others are joining, that sine x has a principal value minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. So sine inverse x give an output minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Cos inverse x gives an output 0 to pi. So we take principal value branch. Tan inverse x gives the value minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. These are not included, they are open bracket. And cosec inverse x gives the value from, 1 second, someone else also joined. Okay, Madiha is joined. Cosec inverse x gives minus pi by 2 to 0, union 0 to pi by 2. 0 it does not give, because there the sign would be, cosec would be undefined. Sec inverse x gives the value from 0 to pi by 2, and pi by 2 to pi. Pi by 2 in between it does not give. And cot inverse x gives the value 0 to pi, open bracket. This we did. We studied also about the graphs last time. So we will be continuing with the properties in this class. Madiha has also joined. I hope others will be joining soon, so they won't lose any part. So this time in syllabus, properties was not there basically. This time in CUET and JEE, properties were of course there. But in this actually, in CBSE board, properties was deleted, but it is in NCERT. So first set of property, if we see, it is like sine of sine inverse of x is actually x. What is happening that x is a value, and when this value is applied sine inverse, then it gives an angle. So this you have to understand that x is a value between -1 and 1. And when you apply sine inverse x, so this total will give you an angle. And when you apply sine to this angle, you will again get a value. So whole of this will be a value. So same value will come like that. Like for example, you have, 1 by 2. So if you want to find what is sine of sine inverse of 1 by 2, then what would you do? You will say that sine inverse 1 by 2 is pi by 6, that is actually 30 degree. And then sine pi by 6 is 1 by 2. So eventually you are getting 1 by 2, but you are doing it by process. So instead of you doing it by process, you can directly apply this property, and you can say that sine of sine inverse of half is given. So we can write it as half. But one thing which you have to keep in mind here is the condition. What is the condition? That this value x must be between 1 and -1. Otherwise, there is no angle for which you can get x. For example, if someone says that find the value of sine inverse of 3. So don't say that it is 3. It is wrong, because this 3 is not between 1 and -1. Half was fine, because you won't get any angle. Sine of any angle theta is equal to 3 is not possible. So there is no angle theta where you get sine inverse 3. So this is not possible. So this condition is very important. that this x is between -1 and 1. So you will say here it is not defined. So write all of this and also mention the statements which I have explained to you. And I want participation from all of you. If you have doubt, you can definitely ask. And if you're not understanding anything, you can say that, sir, please re-explain it. So I would do that for you. But you have to be interactive and you have to keep asking questions. If you have written it, you can tell.
Done, sir.
Okay. Similarly, if we take cos of cos inverse x, it will be x, keeping in mind that x is between 1 and -1. Again, here you can check, for example, cos of cos inverse, I'm taking 1. So cos inverse 1 is at angle 0. Uh, so because cos 0 is equal to 1. So cos 0 will be finally 1. So you are getting the same thing as the output, which is the input. Or if you take cos inverse of, let us say, root 3 by 2. So you know that at which angle it is root 3 by 2. It is at 30 degrees. And cos pi by 6, cos 30 degrees, root 3 by 2. So you are getting again root 3 by 2. So this process is of course there, but you can directly apply the property. But the condition is to be kept in mind. If x is outside this region, then it is not defined. Tan inverse of x is equal to x. Here x belongs to real number because the range of tan is real number. So write these also. You can write for cosec also. Cosec of cosec inverse x is equal to x. And can anyone tell that what is the condition on cosec? Cosec, what happens in cosec? What values you can get if you apply cosec to an angle? X is between minus infinity to -1, union 1 to infinity, because it is the reciprocal of sine. Done till here? Humamuddin, Faza, and Austin, and who are all there? Madiha. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Then we have sec of sec inverse. Condition is same as cos sec 1. So it is minus infinity to minus 1. Union 1 to infinity. Cot of cot inverse x is also x. Here x is belonging to real number. For example, here, if you take cot of cot inverse of, suppose minus 1. Minus 1 is a real number. So cot of cot inverse of minus 1 is minus pi by 4, minus 45 degree. And cot of minus pi by 4 is minus cot pi by 4. And cot pi by 4, that is cot 45 degree, is 1. So you are getting the same thing, minus 1 outside. So you can directly apply this property and get minus 1. If you have done it, then tell me. So we have done these properties right now, and now second set of properties. Okay, one thing I want to discuss tomorrow, I want to keep class little late in the evening. So at 8 p.m. India time, your time may differ place to place. So 8 p.m. India time, is it comfortable for all of you for tomorrow?
Sir, can it be the same time as today?
Today it is at 9:30, but others have not joined. Many have not joined.
Yes, it's okay.
If you have no problem at 8, because I don't want to keep it too late also. So 8 p.m. India time, and Faza, you are saying 9:30 India time. What is your time right now?
Sir, it wasn't Pfizer. It was Madiha, I think.
Okay, Madhya. So what is your time right now?
Sir, right now it's 7:20 here.
7:20. That means 8:29. Okay, 2.5 hours. So your will be uh 5:30, right?
Yeah, sir.
Okay. Austin is saying 8 p.m. India is okay. So 5:30, I think, will be okay for you, Madhya. Won't
Uh,
it be?
sir, I have some class that time, so yeah. Sir, at least can it be 6 according to this, so 8:30 according to there, according to India, 8:30.
Okay. Learnivio class or some other class? India time 8:30 is fine for everyone, because we don't want that Madhya class is also there. It would clash. Yes, others. 8:30 India time. Is it okay, everyone?
Yes,
Yes,
it's
sir.
okay.
Okay. Austin, is it okay for you also?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So tomorrow we will have 8:30 India time. Others will also be able to join, because when it becomes too late, sometimes people or 1, 2 people have might be missed the class. Second property is sine inverse of sine x. So what is the difference there and here? There was sine inverse inside, sine outside. And here we have sine inverse outside and sine inside. So what will happen here? That x will be an angle, not value, but an angle. And sine x will be a value. And sine inverse of this value will be an angle like this. So equal to x, it is equal to x if it is in the principal. Sine pi by 4. So sine inverse sine pi by 4 is 1 by root. And sine inverse of 1 by root 2 is pi by 4. So we get same thing because pi by 4 is between pi by 2. But if we take example 2, sine inverse sine 3 pi by 4. What is 3 pi by 4? 135 degree. So this will be sine inverse of sine 135 degree, which will be 1 by root 2. And sine inverse of 1 by root 2 is pi by 4 is the principal value range. So here what you observe that you gave the input 3 pi by 4 and output has come pi by 4. Above case you gave pi by 4, it came out to be pi by 4. So here it is not saying that it is not defined. It is defined. It is giving a value, but it is not the same value. It is giving some other value because the value must be in the. So first write this, then I will explain more about it.
Done, sir.
Okay. Now, what is important thing? But if I write it like this, that it is sine inverse of sine pi minus pi by 4, then it is nothing wrong in it. It is 3 pi by 4 only. And then we write it as sine inverse about sine trigonometry, which we studied in 11. 180 degree minus theta, sine of 180 degree minus theta. Pi is 180 degree. is sine theta, right? Because it is in the second quadrant, sine is positive. 180 degrees even multiple of 90 degrees, so sine will remain sine, it will not become cos. So this will be sine pi by 4. Now, after making this into pi by 4, now you see that 3 pi by 4 was not in the region minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. So we cannot apply the property. But now, after this third step, we see that pi by 4 belongs to minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 interval. So we can apply the property, and instead of finding the value and then angle, we can directly say it is pi by 4. So after some adjustment, we see that sine inverse sine 3 pi by 4 is pi by 4. So this you also write. Okay, so now if I give you a question here, that sine inverse of sine 7 pi by 4. So can you do it by some manipulation using properties and all? Just try this. Okay, Madhya is saying that it is pi by 4. Can you explain, Madhya?
Sir, so because like pi by 4, 3 pi by 4, and like 5 pi by 4, so they all have same values. So yeah.
Why isn't it minus pi by 4? So if you observe here, this sine inverse of sine 7 pi by 4. So this is actually, let others also first try. Because you can't do this by just guessing, like it happens like this, that's why it will happen. I have to do by some process. So there are two processes. One process is that you don't use the property. You directly find sine 7 pi by 4 by trigonometry, which you studied in class 11, and then get sine inverse of that. Another is using property. So both of the methods you can use. So just try. Okay, so one method is we find sine 7 pi by 4. Sine 7 pi by 4 means sine 315 degree, if you understand in terms of degree more. So, but make it a habit to write it in radians, pi terms. So this is 360 degree minus 45 degree. So it is sine 360 degree minus 45 degree is minus sine 45 degree, because 360 minus 45 is in the uh, fourth quadrant. So here sine is negative. Now, if you find the value of sine 45 degree is 1 by root 2. So this will be minus 1 by root 2. Sine inverse of minus 1 by root 2 will be minus pi by 4, because we want the value between minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. We can't write it as 7 pi by 4. So we are searching for a value between minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, because sine, if you take the graph of sine, the graph of sine, so minus 1 by root 2 will be at minus pi by 4. Or if you go for the sine inverse graph, it would be like this. So it will be minus 1 by root 2 will be here, and minus pi by 4 will be on the y-axis. So any one graph you can see for your reference. Either you see sine graph, their angle will be the input and value will be the output. Or you see sine inverse graph, their value will be the input and angle will be the output. You will get minus pi by 4. So you can only see from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. So there in that region you have to find the angle. So this is one method. First write this. Next will be the property. While explaining the graph, was I on mute, or I was telling you whether it was audible?
It was audible.
Okay. When you will have written this, just tell me. And while doing these questions, you can also see that how graph is being applied in these questions, and your graph will will also be get revised. The graph which we did in the previous class. Written.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next is by property. So how we can use property intelligently in order to find it. So sine inverse sine 7 pi by 4 can be written as sine inverse sine 2 pi minus pi by 4, as we did earlier, 360 degree minus 45 degree, but it cannot be written like this because sine 2 pi minus pi 4, yeah, it can be written like this, but that is 7 pi by 4 because 7 pi by 4 is 2 pi minus pi by 4. You can take LCM, see that it is 8 pi minus pi, 7 pi by 4. So you write it as sine inverse. Now sine 2 pi minus theta, as we know, is minus sine theta. So we write it as minus sine pi by 4. Now we don't have any formula for this, how this minus has come. But we know that minus sine x is equal to sine of minus x. This minus can comfortably get inside sine. If it was cos, it can't get inside cos. So this is sine inverse sine minus pi by 4. Now this minus pi by 4 belongs to minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 in this region. So what we will say, that we can directly cancel sine inverse and sine, and this will be minus pi by 4. So this is how by property we can do it without finding the value of sine 7 pi by 4. When done this, tell me, we can proceed.
Done, sir.
Okay. So this was about sine. Now, if it is given cos inverse cos x. So for cos inverse cos x, we can write it equal to x. X is an angle. If x is in the principal value range, that is 0 to pi. So if, for example, we see cos inverse of cos 7 pi by 4, same case as above. So we can't write it as 7 pi by 4 because 7 pi by 4 does not belong to 0 comma pi. So what we will say? We'll say one method is that we will find out that cos 7 pi by 4 is cos 2 pi minus pi by 4 as we did above. And that will be cos inverse of cos pi by 4. Here it will not be minus because in the fourth quadrant, 2 pi minus pi by 4 is on the fourth quadrant. Their cos is positive. So it will be cos pi by 4. So you don't have to go for that value method. Pi by 4 belongs to minus 0 to pi. So you will say it is equal to pi by 4. Fine. If you take one more example here, for example, we take cos inverse of cos 7 pi by 6, let us suppose. So 7 pi by 6 is greater than pi. 7 pi by 6 does not belong to 0 comma pi. It is greater than pi. So you cannot write it as 7 pi by 6. So not say like this. So what you will do, just try this out. First write what I have written above. Then try this cos inverse of cos 7 pi by 6. Preferably by property method. Yes, have you written this part?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now cos inverse cos 7 pi by 6, how are you approaching? Are you still trying or should I tell? I think you are trying. Okay. So 1-2 minutes, let us wait. Okay. So how can we try this out? The cos inverse cos 7 pi by 6, you can write it as pi plus pi by 6. That is 7 pi by 6. And cos pi plus pi by 6 is minus cos pi by 6 because it is in the third quadrant. So cos in the third quadrant, this is pi plus pi by 6. The cos in the third quadrant is negative, not positive. It is negative. It is positive in first and fourth quadrant. Now, don't do this that you write it as cos inverse cos minus pi by 6. You can't do this because cos minus pi by 6 is cos pi by 6. It is not like sin x. Cos minus x is cos x. Minus sin is being absorbed. So what you have to do? You have to think some other method of taking this minus sign into consideration and keeping the angle in the principal value range. So what you will do, you will write cos inverses as it is. Minus cos pi by 6 can be written as cos pi minus pi by 6. Because even in the second quadrant, if it is pi minus pi by 6, the cos is negative. So cos pi minus pi by 6 will be also minus cos pi by 6. So from here, we are moving here. This intermediate step, we are not doing. Is wrong. So we write cos inverse cos pi minus pi by 6. That is minus cos pi by 6. So this is cos inverse of cos 5 pi by 6. Now 5 pi by 6 actually lies between 0 to pi. 7 pi by 6 was not lying between 0 to pi. But the value of cos 7 pi by 6 is also minus cos pi by 6 and cos 5 pi by 6 is also cos pi by 6. So what we have done by some manipulation, we have come to the conclusion that this is in the principal value range of cos. So cos inverse and cos will cancel and you will get 5 pi by 6 as your answer. Even if you do by another method, this is method 1. We will discuss method 2 also. So if we try by another method also, cos inverse cos 7 pi by 6. I hope you have written that. So that portion is fine. That same it will come cos pi plus pi by 6. That will be cos inverse of minus cos pi by 6. But now we want to write the value of cos pi by 6, that is cos 30 degree, which is root 3 by 2. And cos inverse minus root 3 by 2, don't do this mistake that write it minus pi by 6. It's not minus pi by 6. because at minus pi by 6, cos is still root 3 by 2 plus. What you have to do, between 0 to pi, you have to search for a value. So between 0 to pi, if you see the graph of cos, you can draw the graph of cos here. The cos graph between 0 to pi is like this. This is pi, this is 0. You want minus root 3 by 2 somewhere here. So it will be possible in the second after pi by 2. So that value will be pi minus, because root 3 by 2 is at pi by 6, so pi minus pi by 6, that is 5 pi by 6. 150 degree. So you will say that minus root 3 by 2 is coming at 5 pi by 6. So if value is coming negative, it does not mean that angle is also negative. Angle is can be positive. It depends upon the principal value range. So it is between 0 to pi. So 5 pi by 6 belongs to 0 to pi. Or even if you draw, this is the graph of cos, you can write it as a revision part of the previous class. This is the graph of cos inverse. So if you take minus root 3 by 2, it is here. So this will be at this angle, which is 5 pi by 6. Then we have tan inverse of tan x again. Sine inverse, cos inverse we have seen. So we have tan inverse of tan x. Tan inverse of tan x will be x. And the principal value range should be minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. So angle should be in between this. If it is outside this, we have to do manipulation and make it inside this. Cosec inverse of cosec x is x. Principal value region x must be minus pi by 2 to 0, union 0 to pi by 2. Sec inverse of sec x equal to x belonging to 0 to pi by 2, union pi by 2 to pi. Then one is cot inverse. So what it would be? Cot inverse of cot x equal to x belonging to 0 comma pi open interval. So in JE class, I will also give you the graph of these sine inverse, sine x, cos inverse, cos x, tan inverse, tan x, and all of this, which is required in JE. It is not required in CBSE, but these much is required in CBSE. So the JE class, which will be on Wednesday, I'll give you the graphs of this.